Ada, Prince Ramillies of Rochdale is hardly a pooch. He's a prize Afghan hound. I mean, there are several Afghan breeders after his services as a stud.
As a stud?
You know, to... I mean, Leonard and I are thinking of showing him.
Don't you know how to do it, then?
Just two of the facets of my dear friend and colleague, the late, great Les Dawson. But there are a few more to look at over the next 30 minutes, so why not relax, make yourselves comfortable, and share them with me. As an entertainer, Les was extraordinary, almost anarchic. For instance, he could take a tried and tested game show and turn it into something quite unpredictable.
Good evening. I was like you the first time I had a drink. Yes, we have the Royal Navy with us tonight. We're delighted to have the lads with us. They're all up there holding hands, and I hope they enjoy the show. Yes, it's welcome to another bout of Blankety Blank. And when you do a series like this and a show like this, we often get letters from viewers, and they're very welcome. But one letter did arrive, and I think I can speak on behalf of my producer and director, and I'll have to do because they're still in the pub. Two nice men who drink to forget a great sadness. They both lost their jobs as stuntmen on the Songs of Praise programme. This letter rejuvenates my spiritual self. Makes me feel that life is worthwhile, that what I'm doing, this small gobbet of entertainment is worthwhile. As I perambulate through this veil of tears, a small fragment of animated matter, grappling the vicissitudes of an oft corybantic existence which transmogrifies from the philosophical periphery into the exorbitant orbit of a physical manifestation of a neo-maelostromic society. And I don't think I can put it simpler than that. If I fill up occasionally reading this, please forgive me, but I think all the lads on the floor, all the cameramen, wherever they lay, will really... Dear Mr. Dawson, may I call you Leslie? You have done more for me than any specialist. For years I have suffered from acute insomnia. My nights abed were a restless misery. I've had treatment in Zurich, Rome and Rill, but to no avail. And then, for the first time, I watched the new series of Blankety Blank, and after 5 minutes, I couldn't keep my eyes open.
Great comedians have a knack of imparting to the audience that they're in safe hands. The audience are not tense. What's he going to do? What's she going to do? They know they're all right. And when Les walked on stage, you knew you were all right.
Never a time I sold Hoover vacuum cleaners. I remember selling one to a woman in the Lake District, farmer's wife. I took a bag of demonstration dirt into the house, I put it all over the carpet. I said, if my vacuum cleaner doesn't pick this dirt up, I'll eat it. She said, if the crew it were on gas.
Les Dawson was about love. More than any other human being I think I've ever met. He surrounded you with love. He surrounded you with laughter and love, and that's my memory of him, and it will last with me for the rest of my life.
There's such an air of romance in this studio tonight. So much so I thought I'd narrate a love story to warm the heart, worthy of Mills and Boon. The winter of 1910, my great-great-grandfather, Rathbone Dawson, found himself lost in the blinding snowfields of northern Mackenzie Sound in Canada. His journal of that perilous trek, frankly, moved me to tears. It reads, Monday, I am alone and lost. My face is a mask of crusted ice. And I've lost my watercress sandwiches. Oh, the bitter cold. This madden fandango of swirling pain. Tuesday. Will the agony never end? Hunger gnaws me very vitals. This morning I had to eat my dog team. Delicious with whipped cream and almond paste. I cannot go on, my limbs are leaden and I've run out of toilet paper. Wednesday, half-day closing. Close to the Grim Reaper, Rathbone sank to his knees in the blizzard, and the eternal sleep began to creep over him. Suddenly he heard a voice shouting through the blinding white wilderness. Don't give up, White Hunter. Live, if only for me. He opened one eye, which was heavy with icicle. And as the storm abated slightly, he saw an Indian maiden standing at the other end of a vast lake. He staggered to his feet and saw how beautiful she was. And he cried aloud, I love you. Yeah, yes, I do. And she shouted back, and I love you. He now had the will to live. He dug a hole in the snow and he survived the winter by living off Arctic lichen, parts of his vest and tandoori takeaway chicken. For 5 years, they stood on each side of that vast lake shouting, I love you. And she would shout, I love you. He couldn't swim across the lake to his beloved. It was too cold with heavy currents. But one day, his passion overcame. He could stand the separation no longer. Throwing off his furs and dropping his fowling piece, he plunged naked into that lake. But within seconds, he was dead. Frozen harder than a piece of 3-ply. But such his love, that Indian maiden never forgot his bravery and devotion, and she named the lake after him. It's there to this day, in the same name, Lake Stupid.
But when I worked with Les, I was absolutely amazed. During the day, it wouldn't matter what time you went in. I had my family in a rented house in Poulton. But sometimes I'd go in during the day if I'd been shopping or something. Les was always in that theatre. Always. I could never catch him out. He was always there, either in the pit playing the piano or in the dressing room writing material for a radio series he was also doing, or on stage with me doing a twice-nightly show. He was a worker.
You know, I mean, a fellow once said to me quite candidly, he said, I watched your act, he said, from back at snooker table. He said, you know, we've had all big names here, Gladys Allsop, the Jenny Lind of the Shires. She sings, Dear Am I Got to Thee, and does a striptease in a bucket of ferrets. Very hard-bitten woman, but very nice with it. He said, are you approachable? I said, yes. He said, would you mind a word of constructive criticism? I said, not at all. He said, well, I think you're crap.
Where did you get the inspiration for the two old biddies that you have on, you and Roy Barraclough? Was it Ada and Sissy?
Sissy and Ada?
Aye.
Yeah, well, you know, the women used to work in the looms, you know, in the mills, and they couldn't hear themselves speak with the looms, with the noise of them, so they used to mouth the word they'd say, is she... Has she... So, of course, they carry this on into pubs, so even to this day you'll see old ladies in strategic positions in pubs. And they hide behind the Guinness, and they can lip read. And they know exactly what's going on, so gossip spreads through these wonderful old ladies.
You think there are two women going around like that?
Oh, sure, my wife's one of them.
Well, they wouldn't see themselves in you and Roy, would they, or Ada and
Oh,
Sissy?
yeah, that's the nice thing we've discovered since doing these, that the women love it. Like it's, you know, it's a new facet to them. Oh, really, I think.
What's all this stuff? What's that? What's that?
Marks and Spencer Brazier. Rawhide Brazier, moving out. You're very attractive when you smile, aren't you? It's the first time I've seen those fillings on that side.
Les's hatred of rehearsals was legendary. He was invariably late with a whole stream of excuses. He'd arrive full of breathless indignation, saying, "This London traffic's getting bloody ridiculous." Then he'd turn and give me a knowing wink. By the time we got into the studio, the poor director didn't know what Les was going to do. Come to think of it, nor did I.
Coochie-coo.
Well, you can say what you like, but it's a funny-looking baby to me.
It's a bit odd.
I mean, I've never seen one with a cleft chin and 2 warts under its nose.
You're looking at the wrong ends.
I say, no wonder it struggled when I tried to put the dummy in.
It could have been worse. It could have been a rusk.
No, seriously, I cannot believe that your Miriam's abandoned it.
Oh, she has. Little Leslie. My Miriam, my firstborn.
And what does your Bert think of all this?
He's not sobered up yet, of course. He did mention something about putting shutters on the pram.
Well, I mean, what have you let yourself in for,
I
Chuck?
can't abide his flesh and blood.
There's no good doing about it, is it? I mean, the damage is done now, isn't it?
I can do about
Well, look, you sit down, Chuck. I've got a bottle of my Leonard's homemade wine. I think we both need a drink after that.
I'll just have to keep him in a lot, that's all. Frighten the other kids.
I should have a mug full if I were you, Chuck.
Oh, thank you. A bit too early for me, really, you know. Oh, I say, that's nice. Goes right down to the edge of your corsets.
You've never finished it already.
Very nice.
Well, I'll give you a bit more, but sip this because it's very potent in its taste. You know, it's very deceptive. My Leonard knows all about winemaking because he's a devotee of Bacchus.
Well, so was Bert till he had his hernia. First of all, a man who's been my partner for many years. In fact, we've dressed up in clothes so often, in women's clothes, we could say that we've been dragged up. But he's a superlative artist in his own right. He's just completed a series of one-man plays at the Bisley Rifle Club. And the marksmen were so impressed with his performance that they presented him with 6 silver bullets inscribed. We don't know what's written on them. They've not been dug out of his chest yet.
But, you know, even without the frock, I couldn't escape Sissy and Ada.
You look well, Roy.
Yes.
You've been away?
Yes, I've just got back from Greece.
Oh, very nice. Bert and I went to Greece once.
Did you, Chuck?
Yeah.
Did you have the shish kebabs?
From the moment we got there, yeah.
Well, did you see the Acropolis?
See, we're never off it. You do the best you can do no more. And she looked lovely when she went out the aisle. And she was so close to her time. I think it had gas in her behind the font. You're married to Derek, and he's your 5th husband. She knows the wedding march better than Mendelssohn. The only woman I know, the drip-dry wedding cake. She says here, you've been stood at the altar so often you pay ground rent. Your ambition is to meet a tiger face to face. I wouldn't. You'd probably finish up marrying it. What the hell's up with you? I know it's rubbish, but at least we're trying to cut these people to eat. Filling up again. My mother was awake. She was playing a record of Hitler's speeches. She's not been very well. In fact, she's been off work for some time now. She got rheumatism in her shoulder. She can't throw the harpoon properly.
I always say being a scriptwriter is like being a tailor making suits. You had to make a very big fit for Les with plenty of room under the arms and big baggy trousers because he was going to roar about within what you wrote. So that was what we tried to do, give him room to move and manoeuvre.
A friend of mine is a licensee of a pub in Lancashire. Recently he went to a brewers' convention at the Apocalypse Hall in Glasgow. And he drank deeply of the grape. Wonderful man. He was unfamiliar with the grey old pile of Glasgow. He wandered away to find an ablution from which to relieve himself. Fortunately, filling up. Fortunately, he staggered towards the railway line. And he tripped over an inert sleeper. Fell down the embankment and his head landed on the rail. An express coming from Aberdeen with conduit. A little unusual, it normally goes by tube. Suddenly came down and severed his head. Luckily, there was, in the guard's van, there was a Latvian immigrant who was on his way to Maidenhead to see his brother, who was a tree surgeon. Acting swiftly with the cunning of a Russian peasant, he stopped the train by sliding his foot on the wheel. I'll always remember Hoppy. By some miracle of endeavour, he put the head back on the severed torso and marched the victim briskly to a hospital in Glasgow. The doctors worked feverishly throughout the night. It was impossible. It was too far gone. However, there was a dead sheep been brought in, had been run over. They took the sheep's head off and put it on his head. And he lived. Miracle of surgery. But because he was a big fella, the head was a bit too short for the torso. So he wouldn't feel completely ridiculous, the matron gave him a top hat with 2 gold earrings and a monocle on the sheep's head. And he used to sit up in bed having grass sandwiches. And his wife came to see him and she was obviously distressed. And he started going out on a tandem to strengthen himself. And people used to laugh, you know, people are like dreadful. As he gained in strength, he would sit there chewing the cud. And he said, have you told them in the pub what's happened? And she said, yes. She said, they're with you to a man. They're just glad to have you back, because you've got the keys to the cellar. Only last Thursday, he was released. He shook hands with everybody. He chewed down the lawns just to clear up some of the mess. When he got to the pub, there was flags and buntings bedecked all over the public house. And no, can you imagine, he's got a sheep's head with a top hat, monocle. What? And this is human nature for you. They laughed at him. Yes! They laughed! But don't worry, he got his own back. He barred them. Now, in this case, the question you have to write down. Now, the panel will speak orally through the osculatory membranes. The reply as thus: if thou doth match with said retort, hold thy card aloft as a banner, and thou shalt win a prize of magnitude upon this very day of Crispin. Oh, there you are. I was just tingling. I normally do at this time. To continue the songs I've been doing recently on the series, to betray, if I may say so, the old Englishism of this country, here is an old lament from Scotland. It's sung usually by poachers under gravy when they throw suet of a vicar's kilt. A leaf it fell upon my foot, and to move I found unable. The leaf was made of solid oak, from Riganda's dining room table.
Occasionally he would turn the conversation to sort of on a slightly serious note, and you'd think, oh well, Leslie's been a bit interesting here, or is he? And then he was, and you'd sort of go with it, go with the flow, and he'd start to sort of philosophize about things, and he did write, I think, one serious novel. So you know, you'd think, well, okay, yeah, Les has a serious side. I don't mind that. You go with it. And then suddenly the conversation might turn to sort of like the Morecambe Welk farm and the history of the Morecambe Welk. And you'd suddenly realise that he was turning it all back on you and he'd sucked you in.
But I mean, like most people, I wear two hats, and one is a more serious one, and that is the ceaseless task to try and make people aware of what's happened to us in the ecology field, conservationism.
Yes. What in particular?
Well, I'm on the Mordecai Appeal Fund in Livingston Hands, which is for the preservation of the Morecambe Welk. But what is happening is because of man's relentless search for natural resources in Morecambe Bay, there's a silt beginning to form into the lower strata of the water, which precludes the whelk from seeking a mate.
Oh, no.
You see, they have the fluted nostrils, whelks, and they seek out the opposite sex by virtue by eyesight. And what's been happening over the years with this silt rising, of course, they develop advanced myopia and irritant stigmatism. And of course, when they blindly fumble for a mate, they made some pretty bad mistakes with this silt. In fact, we have a Coast Guard now who just wrote to me recently, a very moving letter from Fleetwood, who actually saw one of the whelks trying to mount a discarded yogurt carton.
It was awful.
On the beach. It was pretty dreadful, yeah. But the idea is we're opening a small clinic for these whelks, where they get their hair done and watch television, and meet, you know, other whelks with similar problems, and we take them to the Lake District on a coach trip and this thing, sea shanties. And I feel as I'm doing something worthwhile.
Oh, you are doing magnificent work on this. And
so.
you are making progress.
Not a lot, no. There's a lot of people who seem to think it's an asinine idea.
Les's raison d'etre was laughter. And not just his audiences, everyone's. Makeup girls, cameramen, technicians, and especially his fellow artistes. He used to say, well, if you can't enjoy it, it's not worth doing, is it? Just take a look at the effect on Shirley Bassey, who was told by the director that he'd just say a few lines to introduce their duet.
It's funny how you try to regain your grassroots. You know, you came from Cardiff when you worked on the docks, and you also... You try to refine those vital years. Where did you go wrong? I went to see my parents the other week. It was the neighbourhood I used to play as a kid. Grimy warehouses, severing the skyline with dissipated profiles. Narrow, soot-bearded tenements gazing eyeless onto litter-pitted streets. Nuns going round in twos, mugging everybody. And I thought to myself, by God, Weybridge has changed. And through a vandalised glass-stained window of this ill-kempt chapel, I saw my father kneeling at the altar. Can you imagine my emotions? More mixed than old brand. And he looked so forlorn. He was just knelt there. He was recrumbing his begging bowl. He had his hand in the vicar's pocket. Right. I put my arm round. I put my arm round his shoulder, his thinning shoulders. And he looked at me and he took a swig from his hip flask. And I said, hello, Daddy. And he looked at me, his eyes just filled with tears. Emotion was choking him. There's one decent soup, the only one he ever had without arrows. And when he spoke, it was like an echo from the past. I remembered so well that soft northern voice. He said, hello, son! I said, what are you doing here of all places? He was never a religious man, you know. He was an atheist for years, but he was getting no holidays. I said...
Oh, I love Sheila.
And I said to him, why are you knelt here? I said, where's Mummy? And he looked at me and said, and he pointed heavenwards with a soiled digit. He said, your mother's up there! I said, you mean that Mummy's passed over? He said, no, she's on the roof knocking the lead off. Shirley, what number are you going to sing?
Well, Yellowbird.
Well, that's brought back some very happy memories for me. I hope it has for you too. But I think we'll let Les have the last word. Or two, or three, or four. Good night.
Christmas is over now and the new year is yet to come. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a limbo period in time. Time when the chill of the supernatural is often in the air. I'm about to narrate for you a ghostly story that may shiver your skin into a crepe sheet. And never say that when you've had a drink. There is on the barren Yorkshire moors a village that is so small the speed limit signs are back to back. It's a poor village, in fact the wishing well's full of IOUs. That village is so far off the beaten track, Dracula got in for the Liberals. A strange village has a public house called Twiggy's Chest. It's called that because the beer is flat and warm. It's not a very clean pub. In fact, it's so dirty the safest place to keep money is under the soap. For years, the landlord, Big Fred, had owned a savage Alsatian dog. And when it died, after biting his mother-in-law's leg, and was so upset, he cut off the dog's tail and hung it behind the bar in memory of his beloved pet. One storm-tossed night, as the wind howled like a lost soul in dire torment, as midnight struck, there was the sound of a paw scratching on the front door of the pub. Big Fred paled, and with a candle in hand, he timidly descended the stairs. There it was again! Sound of scratching and then silence, accompanied this time by a fearful growl coming from the very bowels of hell itself. Gingerly, half opened the door. His heart stopped at what he saw. His dead dog, shimmering in a phosphorescent glow. Empty sockets where the eyes were. Saliva dripping from its muzzle. He froze into a glacier of terror as the dog spoke. I cannot ever rest because I am incomplete. You must give me my tail back so that I can rest. Just then the publican's wife, Annie, was a big woman, in fact, when she passed her handbag from hand to hand, she threw it. She came down and she said, I'm sorry, Rover, we don't retail spirits after midnight. But I God bless.
A charity walk providing free drink will be on offer shortly on BBC2, A Temptation for Rab C. Nesbitt.